We're going to be looking at Spring Data REST. So this is a part of the Spring Data project. It makes it easy to build a hypermedia-driven REST web service on top of our Spring Data repository, and it builds on top of the Spring Data repository's analysis application domain and exposes our HTTP resources. Now these notes and this, as well as some others, and this whole example is based off of a video that's not mine, but it's found in the description below the like button. It's just what I'm taking from it. So for this, it's going to be a hands-on exercise where we're going to be in our IDE. So what we're going to want to do is make a new file, and then we're going to want to make a new Spring Boot project. So instead of our Spring Boot, we're going to do Spring Starters project. Our dependencies are going to be Spring Data JPA, H2 database, Spring Web, REST repositories, and Spring Web services. So we should have 5 dependencies inside of here. We want to make a customer class inside of our .com.example. And so inside of our customers, we're going to have like just a basic customer ID, customer name, and a course name. We're going to make getters and setters for these by doing the source and then just getter and setter. Then we're going to make a toString the same way. We're also going to want to make a interface. So we're going to go to new interface, and this interface is going to be the customer repo.java. So it's going to look something like this, but what we're going to need is a repository. In all previous videos we had controllers, and this is where we defined what URL would return or not return anything. Remember in like the previous one we've had things where we would type into our URL and we would get specific things displayed for us. Well, if we don't want a controller, we could do @RestRepository REST resource, and then here we have our collection resource rel customers, and then our path is customers. So whenever we type in customers, this is all going to happen. We're going to extend the JPA repository, and we're passing in our customers class, and then we're passing in integer. Now this lowercase customers is different than this customers right here. This is a path, and this is the actual class, and the type integer is because in our customers we have a @ID. This ID is going to be identifying each customer. We're going to come back to this @entity and @generated value in just a minute. We need to give a file where data can be retrieved, and we need to configure the H2 database. We're going to do this inside of our application properties, which would be in our SRC main resources, so application properties. And we're going to put this in here. It's the same thing as what we've used in the previous video just to configure this. The database configuration is done in application.properties. And now we can use an SQL file to make sure the data is automatically being entered. And what we can do is go into our SRC main resources, go to new, go to file, and then just type in like sample.sql. It's going to look like this. And then we can put our inserts into here. This is what we've done previously in our H2 inside of like the browser, like this H2 console right here. It's the same exact thing. And we want to run this into our actual application. We want to right click our file. We want to then go into a open with, and then we're going to do SQL editor. I believe this is the correct one. When I was watching the tutorial, it didn't work exactly. I think they picked the wrong one. So I'm not 100% sure if this is going to work, but if it doesn't work, there's another way we can do this. Before we run this, we need to initialize the table. So we put the data into the table and the code in the repository to extract the data, but we also need to create the table automatically. So for this, we're going to go into our customers where we made our object. We need the @entity to do this, and then we need to use the @generated value. And this @generated value is used to identify the customer ID as our primary key. And the primary key is important when we're doing SQL, just to have a primary key that identifies everything. So that's if we were using our SQL, if this were to work. So we can go into our Postman, and inside of our Postman here, we're just going to have our local host 85/customers because I changed the port. And so we can, if we restart this, we can just click send. Remember, all we need is customers here, and we can see that we're not going to have anything inside of here. Now, we don't have anything inside of here. That might just be because of our SQL not inserting properly. I believe the correct way that the video at least said was to open with our SQL file editor. I'm not sure if you have to do anything specifically for here, but if we are to run this, like terminate and run, so clear it out, and we are to bring our Postman over and then just get it like this, it's not going to work. So what we can do instead is I'm just going to copy all this, refresh this because it's old, connect here with our h2-console. So 885 h2-console, connect here, paste this in here. So we're inserting these into our customers, and then we're selecting from our customers. We can press run, and then inside of here, we have this information. So if we were to run this now, we can see that we have this information here. We have Brandon, BrandonCPE.co, customers 1, and then 2, and then 3, and so those are our keys. Now, we could do everything that we wanted to, like post, put, delete, if we wanted to inside of here. If we do delete, and let's say we want to delete number 2. Well, all we need to do inside of here is just pass in a 2. So doing a /2, we haven't done anything in our code like we've done previously. That was pretty big. We can do /2, nothing will show up. We can go to our get to get the information, and we need to do, nothing shows up because we still have it at /2 because it's deleted. If we press send though, we can see we have 1, we can have 3, and we don't have 2. And so that is going to be it for how we would use or try to use our SQL, but ultimately how we would use our customer's repo in here with the @repository REST resource, modifying this, changing this, and so this is kind of based off the last example, just with a little bit of difference here to demonstrate what we're currently looking at.